All right, you guys. One of my favorite songs. I mean, for those of you guys who don't know, that's William Devon, and it's called "Be Thankful for What You've Got." Classic song. Hey, you guys, welcome. It is July 31st, 2020. We are still in the pandemic situation. I will be your host today. My name is Donovan Sadiq, and today actually is Free Flow Friday. And I'm in the lovely Inland Empire, Southern California, and Riverside, Moreno Valley, San Bernardino area. And we are experiencing a heavy heat wave going on. Today it's supposed to be 109 degrees. And I don't know how people are making it. I live in an older neighborhood, and a long time ago, when I retired from the military, I made sure I upgraded my AC system and my furnace system, and it's really efficient. And then I'm also venting using solar air, venting the heat out of the attic, which keeps my house about 3 or 4 degrees colder than it would normally be. But a lot of people don't have the mechanical skills to do what it is that I can do, and I really feel bad for them because they have 16-year-old young men just sitting there on the in the house playing PlayStation, and they've got $400 and $600 electric bills a month. I'm not kidding you. $400 to $600. I'm not kidding you, and that's what they're doing. And I live in a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood now. And in the Hispanic culture, the mother usually stays home and watches the kids. And yeah, it's my neighbors come to me and say, "Hey, how much was your bill?" And I say, "I don't know. I've never had a bill over $100." And that's with me running my AC, on a constant basis. But unfortunately, I got a smart thermometer or thermostat, which makes it even a lot better for me to do what it is that I do. So welcome to you guys, the Free Flow Friday. This is the Donovan Sadiq Show. Well, actually, this is Unapologetic. Kind of a mixture about everything put together. My host today, Demetra, she is headed to the LAX airport, going to see her fiance off. Mr. Al Jackson came in for the week and, to visit his lady love and, do what else he's got to do. And, so I guess... And you guys know how Demetra gets down. Whenever Al comes into town, we won't see Demetra for the whole week. You guys know how she is. So I'm going to run the show today, and hopefully you guys will enjoy and learn a little bit, or just something to think about. Been getting a lot of flack from a lot of my friends in regards to Congressman John Lewis. And that's what I kind of want to talk about today, because he was laid to rest yesterday, and 3 of the 4 former presidents attended. Unfortunately, Jimmy Carter, of course, this guy's like 94, and I think he's about 94 years old, and, he's of advanced age, and we're in a pandemic, so he doesn't want to put himself in a situation where he can get killed. So, he was not available, but, other people showed up. And earlier in the week, when John initially died, I asked the question, why is John Lewis an icon? And everybody lost their shit. I'm talking about people were just upset. How dare you disrespect this man? He hasn't been in the ground for 4 or 5. It's only been 2 days, and again, I'm not going to apologize for asking a question. And if you just don't know the answer, you just don't know the answer. But my premise for the week has been symbolism. And that's what we've been talking about. It's like all this symbolism that they're giving us, okay? I can throw out all of these facts here, and it's funny because why is it that we as black people hold white politicians to a certain standard, but when it comes to our own, we don't hold them to that standard? We have to be different. Oh, how dare you talk about John Lewis? Well, if this was Donald Trump and he was in the situation was reversed, would you be giving Donald Trump a pass? And I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just asking. We have to have a standard of how we're going to judge these public servants. Remember, we are the masters, they are the servants. Did I ever say John Lewis wasn't an icon? Nope, never said that. Never said that. I just asked the question of people, do you know John Lewis? Why is he an icon? Explain to me why he's an icon. If you can't explain a basic statement that you're making and a claim that you're making, maybe you don't know what you're talking about. Why is this man an icon? Because he got his ass beat? Is that why he's an icon? Now, how many of you today, if this man is such an icon and, he needs to be praised and people need to follow him and they need to do do what John Lewis did, how many of you guys are willing just to sit there and take an ass whipping and then thank the cop for doing his job? How many of you guys are willing to do that? Because if this man's an icon, you would be willing to do what he did. Everybody's like, oh, you're shitting on him. No, I am not shitting on John Lewis. I'm asking a question. What makes him an icon? And I've said this all week when people have been messaging me and stuff, and I'm going to stand firm on what I believe, okay? You can say what you want about Donovan Sadiq. Say whatever it is you want. But one thing I try to be is consistent. I'm not going to say one thing and then turn around like a politician and mean something else. Okay? Yes, John Lewis is a historic person in the civil rights movement. But outside of getting his ass beat and getting arrested over 58 times, why is he an icon? We don't call Martin Luther King an icon. And he was a massive leader of the civil rights movement, but we don't call him an icon. Who gave John Lewis this label of icon? Is it the very people that have funded and gives him money within the last 4 years of his campaign donations, and they are forming this narrative so that you people will calm down in the streets and go back to what you're doing and get into good trouble non-violently? Is that who's coming up with this moniker? Think about it. I want you to think about this. Think about it. The generations that are in the streets right now, they're not willing to do what John Lewis was doing. And again, let me clarify for the slow people in the back and the snack pack punchers. The people that throw snack pack pudding against the wall that can't get it. This is not about John Lewis. It's about the symbolism. Why is he an icon? Who gave him that designation? We don't give Martin Luther King icon status. We don't give Malcolm X icon status. We don't give the Honorable Elijah Muhammad icon status. We definitely don't give Farrakhan icon status. Who is forming this narrative? Has John Lewis done a lot in the civil rights movement? Absolutely. But you also got to remember, he was a politician much longer than he was in the civil rights movement. So, let's go back. We know about his civil rights record. He's arrested over 58 times. Got into good trouble. Good trouble. Got to go find you some good trouble. He did it. Got his ass beat by the Jerry Pettis, whatever it is, Pettis Bridge. Right? Signed people up to vote. But all those things that he's did, a lot of people did in the South. So are they icons too? But let's forget his civil rights record. I'll give you that. Let's say he's a pivotal person in the civil rights movement. I can't take that away from him. He did the best that he could. And I had some friends ask me, as they were going through the funeral service, have my feelings changed about John Lewis? No, my feelings haven't changed. He didn't, and they throw this narrative. Well, he took that ass whooping so you could do what you're doing. No, that's not true. He didn't even know me. I wasn't even born. So what are you talking about? He didn't take an ass whipping for me. And then he's going to thank the police for doing their job? Can't do it. Okay? So he didn't do that for me. He took an ass whipping so that I can get something for my vote. I will go with that. He didn't just say vote just to vote. And then the people that he registered to vote, what did he register them to do? Did he say vote and get something for your vote? Or did he say just vote Democrat? Don't forget to vote Democrat. Good trouble. Good trouble. Vote Democrat. Even though the Democrats ain't giving you shit. Vote Democrat. No, he didn't distinguish what it is he's doing. He was a Democratic operative. So now let's talk about his political record. Over 30 years as a congressman, and he introduced a lot of legislation for everybody. It benefits everybody. Okay? And that's great that he's doing that. But what happens when legislation or programs are vested for everybody? What is the one group in this country that never benefits when everybody's included? You're damn right, black people. You're damn right, black people. So we're excluded. So now the great John Lewis has been laid to rest. And now what? We're back to square one again. And I don't understand why people do not understand what I and others are trying to tell you guys. We don't need representatives that look like us going in there fighting for everybody. We need representatives that are going to specifically deal with us. When I look at the Hispanic caucus and you go to their website and you look at their agenda, there's nothing in there for black people. Nothing in there talking about black people. There's nothing in there about black people. It's about their people. Legal or not legal. But yet you guys will get on my ass and other people's asses because we don't want to include everybody. Everybody has been eating off of our labor since we've been in this country. The civil rights movement, that was basically us taking those ass whippings. But who benefited? Jews, white women, Asians, Hispanics. Everybody benefited from what we did. We wrote the blueprint to that. So fast forward 60 years. Look where we're at. We're just pointing this stuff out to you guys. I looked at John Lewis's congressional record. I didn't say it was a bad record. I'm just pointing out that he didn't do anything specifically for his people. So if you don't do anything specifically for your people, are you of your people or are you working for somebody else is the question. Oh, don't you say nothing about John Lewis. Don't you say nothing about Martin Luther King. Don't you say nothing about Joseph Lowery. If we can't criticize these people the same way we criticize the other politicians, what are we supposed to do? How do we hold them accountable then? Just go out and vote. That's what Obama said. Hey, what you got to honor John, what you got to do is go out and vote. Obama is pissed right now. He is pissed because his legacy did not follow into another Democratic successor. So Trump comes in there and unwinds all of his shit. But maybe Mr. Obama, and did you guys listen when President Obama was talking at the funeral of the legendary John Lewis? Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from it. He did the best he could. I'm not anybody of the civil rights movement. They did what they thought was what the goal was at the time. But these kids nowadays are not going to sit there and take no ass whipping. It just the marching and the peaceful protesting, that ain't getting it anymore. And people are starting to see that. Look at the streets around you. Look what's going on in America. That's not working anymore. That worked in the 20th century. This is the 21st century. And these kids were not taught to take an ass whipping, okay? Unjustly. Right? So Obama's speaking And he's speaking about all these things, the Voting Rights Act. Did you hear him talk about the Voting Rights Act? Specifically, he was saying the Voting Rights Act, we got to do this, we got to do this. God damn, Mr. Obama, you were a president for 8 years. Didn't you think this was going to be a problem later on? You had 8 years to do something tangible about the Voting Rights Act. To secure it for 2 years, you had a supermajority. I was listening to him and I was watching it and I was like, you're saying something about it now, but you were in office. You were the president. Oh, and I know you people out there that are listening, you trolls. Oh, well, he was handcuffed. There's nothing he can do. They would have killed him. They would have whatever, right? Please explain to me, how did he get DACA and the DREAM Act done? Wasn't that by executive order? And they're still arguing it about in the courts to this very day. Forget his supermajority. He did DACA and the Dreamers after he had lost the Senate. He did that after. And the House. He had lost the House. I'm sorry. So your argument doesn't have any weight. Symbolism. Well, Obama couldn't do anything. That's funny. For somebody that couldn't do anything, he did it for the LGBTQs. He did it for the Hispanics. But he can't, I get it. When it comes to black people, he can't do anything. Gotcha. Well, then be specific if that's what you're saying. But don't sit there and tell me his hands were tied. So I'm looking at this guy, and I'm not an Obama basher. Like I said, I voted for him twice. Regretfully now. Regretfully. Because if I knew that I wasn't going to get anything for my vote, I would have, abstained, and gone down the ballot and voted my interest for the rest of it. But, it was historic, so I want to be a part of history, like I said, I'm not a basher. I know exactly why he was put there. Remember Occupy Wall Street? Remember all that stuff? He was put there because people were losing their shit then. The white people were losing their shit, okay? What's going on in Portland and Seattle right now? That ain't about George Floyd. That's about white people losing their shit. And they've had enough. They don't see a future. But how can you sit there, Mr. Obama, and talk about, what the Republicans are doing to halt voting rights and all this other stuff when you were the president for 8 years? 2 of those years you had a supermajority, and the other 6 you could have used executive pen and don't give a damn. But you didn't do anything. So why bring it up now is my question. Don't you talk about Obama. Don't you say nothing about Obama. Well, am I right or am I wrong? Using my basic logic. When I was in college, one of the first classes I took, not first, but it was in my second or third year, was critical thinking. And I think everybody that goes to college should take that course because it teaches you not to be sheeple. It teaches you to think for yourself and analyze the facts and things that are presented in front of you and make a logical decision, not an emotional decision, a logical one. And at the end of what Obama was saying, y'all need to vote. Y'all need to vote. No matter what you do, you got to vote. If you want to honor John, just vote. Yes. Does Trump need to go? Absolutely. The guy is running the country like he runs his businesses into the ground. A known racist. How is a known racist going to win re-election in a country that is predominantly people of color? I don't know how he's going to do it. 30% of the electorate, a third of the electorate is not going to get you anything. Well, it did initially, because that's all he won with, but that's because a lot of white women, Democratic women, voted Trump in, even though he was saying grab him by the pussy and all this other bullshit that he was doing, right? So symbolism. So this whole John Lewis thing is about symbolism. They want you to follow John Lewis's example, and this is my opinion, and not be violent in the streets. Notice how they keep talking about how the police are being brutalized and how the police are, under arms and stuff. Well, let's see. Rightly so? Maybe so? Do they deserve it? I see peaceful protesters and policemen grabbing their masks and, macing them and beating them in the head. And then you have untrained federal officers trying to do riot control, protest control. How do you think that's going to pan out? People think, oh, federal troops are just we're not. It's like bringing in the military. We're not trained for that. We're not trained for that. We're not trained to know the law. We're not trained. We're just trained to do the job that we know is within the law that we know. I happen to know that people have a right, according to the Constitution, to peacefully protest. That's in the Constitution. But not a lot of people are logical and book smart like me, right? We got to think about this stuff, people. Symbolism. They're talking about Kamala Harris being the VP pick for Joe Biden. Right? This is the woman that exposed him and said, I'm that girl. Then had all the shirts and shit until the new black media exposed her record here in California as the AG and stuff. I had friends, and I love them to death, that are feminists. Well, I think they're feminists. And they were like, oh, Kamala Harris, yay, yay, yay. And I told them, I said, no, no, no. And they were like, why? And then I told them. And they were like, huh? What? Symbolism. You want a female vice president or president, which is fine. That's good to want it. But do you know this woman's record? That's fine to get a female. I don't have a problem with the female president. And everybody knows I'm an Ike Turner loving male traditional chauvinist. I believe in traditional roles of people. I have no problem admitting that. I have no problem with a woman president, but not just any woman president. Do you see what I'm saying? If this woman is involved in locking my people up, keeping people in jail, against body cams for police officers, won't release corrupted police officers' names, goes against the California Supreme Court, only identifies as black when it's convenient. She went to Howard and all this other stuff. She spent half of her childhood life in Canada. She's never identified as black. She's married to a white man, even though I don't have a problem because you should love who you love. But I do have to question somebody who is married to somebody else, male to female, where your loyalty lies. I just don't think any woman should be president. It should be a specific woman. If that was the case, then why isn't Hillary president? It was women that cost her the election. Even women didn't want her as president. There's got to be a reason for that. And then, when Kamala finally dropped out and then, and she was exposed, how are you going to lock people up for marijuana and then go on a show and then brag about, she's black when it's convenient. You know what I'm saying, Fife? How are you quoting albums that didn't even exist yet, but yet it was just terrible. It was just terrible. It was just terrible, But symbolism. Oh, Joe Biden's going to do this and going to do that. You've got people galvanizing behind this man that has a racial record worse than Trump. Okay, I'm not saying he's, we don't know what Trump's done in his personal life, whatever that we don't know. But I'm talking about on the record. Joe Biden has made laws that have affected the black community. And now we're supposed to just forget all that and just say, yeah, you're going to be the president. And here's a guy who wrote the crime bill. And he's supposedly going to select a woman who used the crime bill here in California to lock up scores of people for bullshit offenses. A woman, if you look at her record, should have been a Republican. She was a prosecutor. Just look at the parallels to what's happening here. Symbolism. This is what we're talking about. And I'm calling it out. Everybody gets upset after the fact. Everybody gets reactionary after the fact. But here's one thing you guys know about Donovan Sadiq and all my shows and everything that you guys see me on, all my platforms. What do I always say? I could be wrong, but I doubt it. And unfortunately, believe it or not, I have a pretty good record of being right politically. Now, in my personal life, I'm totally screwed up. I can't even sustain a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Totally screwed up. Okay, I admit that. You got me. But what it is we're trying to get you guys to think. Don't just vote just to vote. Okay, symbolism. Let's say he does pick Kamala Harris, a black woman. What's changed for you? Yay, it's a black woman. Yay, okay, great. All right. Are they still beating your ass in the street? Yep. Is Joe Biden for defunding the police? Nope. He wants to give them more money for more training. Is Joe Biden for stopping police shooting you as you're running away from them? Nope. Joe Biden said, why can't you just shoot him in the leg? Joe Biden brags that he has been friends with Dixiecrats, Strom Thurmond, and all the, the ones that were just vile. And by the way, Strom Thurmond had a black daughter, by the way, for those of you guys that don't know your history. Secret black daughter. So here's a white man, racist, and he's fucking black chicks, but doesn't want black people to have human rights. And that's what we should be talking about. Forget all this civil stuff. If we're not considered even human, the civil rights, it ain't even going to matter. You have to be human to get civil rights. But for all you guys that don't know that, Strom Thurmond, a lot of your rabid racists are married to people of other nationalities. I know a lot of redneck friends of mine in the military, white guys. They're married to Filipinos. They're married to everything but white. Why is that? You love who you love, whatever the situation is. My question is, why? I always ask why. And I get that from my mom and just critical thinking. A good patriot of a country is always going to question its government. You're always going to question it. You guys can vote for Joe Biden. You can vote for whoever you want. As long as you vote, I'm all for that. But get something for your vote. That's what we're trying to tell you guys. You don't go into a store, leave your money, and don't come out with some kind of product. John Lewis, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, they didn't die so I have the right to vote. They died so I can get something for my vote. That doesn't make any sense if you say it any other way. Anybody can vote. Here you go. Is anybody talking reparations? Is Joe Biden talking? We're 3 months out and this man hasn't even selected his vice president yet. And I'm going to tell you guys this. If he selects Kamala Harris, a lot of people will stay home and we will have another 4 years of Donald Trump. And God knows what the country's going to look like after the next 4 years. Okay? She is not the candidate. And at his advanced age, I want you to think about this. She would be one heartbeat away from the presidency. Not that that's a bad thing. She is not a progressive. She wasn't, right now, what is she talking about? Is she talking about police reform? Is she talking about progressive items to change things? Is Joe Biden talking about, I did the 95 crime bill and I made a mistake? He's not about any of that stuff. I'm going to make a suggestion for you guys. And I know a lot of you guys just hate this man. And you know what the sad thing about it is? You hate this man and you don't know why. Maybe your parents told you, your aunt or your mom told you, don't listen to this man, run from him, revile him. Listen to Louis Farrakhan. To some of what he said years ago in the 80s, in the 90s, but especially in the 80s, around that time, in the late 80s. Just listen to what he said and just listen to how it has ability today. And it applies today. All these warnings he was throwing out. And now people are saying, well, where's Farrakhan? Where's Farrakhan? Why do you need Farrakhan now when, the man is 87 years old or whatever he is? Farrakhan's where he needs to be. But he told you. He told us. Now, I'm not I support Islam very, very, big. I'm very big on supporting Islam. I love the discipline of it. And the Nation of Islam is very rigid, especially for us black men. And it makes us responsible. I mean, at least for me, I can speak for myself. It makes me responsible. So I take a little bit of tangent in supporting them. I could never really say that the minister is wrong. Because remember, I was born a Catholic. Okay? But logically, we're talking about symbolism. Louis Farrakhan was giving us solutions to the problem. But now they're giving us symbolism. Is Joe Biden talking about, hey, I made a mistake with the 94 crime bill, 95 crime bill. I'm going to go ahead and repeal that? Is he saying that? Is he saying, yes, I'm going to, recommend and legislate and mandate that we have police reform? He's not saying any of those things. What is Joe Biden saying? I'm for the status quo. Everything's fine. And you expect me to vote for that. And hypothetically, we don't know if he's picking Kamala Harris or not, but if he picks Kamala Harris, he's doomed. He's doomed. They will not win. Okay? Think about the symbolism of that. The symbolism of that. Hillary Clinton was a white woman, and she didn't win. You think that this old Dixiecrat, racist Jim Crow Biden is going to win on a ticket with Kamala Harris, a so-called woman of color, because she is a woman of color. She's from India. She's half Indian, half Jamaican black. He's not even talking about reparations. You know what? I guarantee you right now, if Joe Biden really wanted to win, the Democrats really wanted to win this election, he would be saying, when I'm president, I'm going to be talking about reparations, number one, because it was the black folks who got me where I'm at and saved my ass in South Carolina and in the primaries. So I have to deal with them first. No, that isn't what he's saying. He's saying on day one, he's going to do DACA and he's going to do the Dreamers Act. The very people who he doesn't need, who are not going to put him into the presidency. Symbolism. Again, this is what we're trying to wake you guys up. I don't know how many times I have to say it. It just makes me sick. And they keep throwing these icons at you. Would Barack Obama be an icon? First black president, supposedly, even though Dwight Eisenhower was the first modern black president. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. You know what you're talking about. I'm a history major. If Dwight Eisenhower's mother was a mulatto, that would make him what, according to the American race laws? Unofficially. Black. The greatest general, one of the greatest generals of all times, believe it or not, was a black man. Dwight David Eisenhower. His mother was a mulatto. Believe that. And look it up. You could even see pictures of her if you Google it. True shit. I'm telling you guys, true shit. Look it up. I'm a history major. I love this shit. I eat it up. So, now as an outright looking black man, yes. African father, white mother. But you got to remember, Obama is not ADOS. And Obama, because he's not ADOS, wasn't for reparations. You got to understand this stuff. His experience was not a person of ADOS, American descendant of a slave. So that's why he was against reparations. Why would somebody who doesn't have that lineage would even care about it? But if Joe Biden wants to win this election, he needs to be talking about reparations and specifically doing something for the black community, not for everybody. Specific. What is wrong with black people getting a program of their own? When the World Court and the United Nations says that black people in the United States, ADOS black people, need to be paid reparations, what is the fucking problem? But we can throw trillions of dollars out to people who already have money, generational wealth. Why would the average white family who makes $177,000 annually need a stimulus check when the average black family makes $14,000 or less? You want to know why? To keep the generational wealth gap. To keep the wealth gap going. That made no sense. You're giving money to people who really could survive for a couple of months without it. Black people, $14,000? Holy Jesus, how are they making it? But you know, Demetra, the 5-star general, Professor Black Truth, the Black Authority, you know, Tommy Sotomayor, Trey King, you know, Philip Scott, we're all the bad guys because, you know, we're telling you guys like it is. You guys, we are 12 years away. 12 years or less now because of the COVID of zero wealth in the black community. People, today, as a matter of fact, today is the last day of the COVID stimulus. The moratorium is up. Where's the money? The landlord needs to be paid. And fellas, I'm going to tell you guys, that girl you always wanted, you know, the diapers, she needs diapers for her babies. She needs to get formula. Pussy's going to be on a premium. That's no lie. Pussy will be on a premium. Because now rent is due. So what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen now? My mother and my mom's out here visiting. And I'm enjoying the visit because I don't see my mom very often. But I do talk to her at least once a week when she's not here. But my mom retired from her federal job. So she's got it going on. Army retirement and a federal retirement. So she's got two retirements. And she's enjoying it. And we were, you know, I get a lot of my notes from YouTube. And I constantly am looking at stuff. And in New Orleans, where my mom is from, she actually lives in Slidell, which is outside of New Orleans. They said on YouTube, there was a clip on the news from New Orleans that 300,000 people in New Orleans are now in danger of being evicted. That's just New Orleans. What about these other towns and cities that people weren't paying rent? Here where I live, in about a month, the evictions are going to start starting, and people are going to lose their homes. All those LA Negroes that moved out to my neighborhood from LA. Hey, which doesn't make sense to me, because if I was a representative, yes, the American people themselves need help, but why? Yeah, and a moratorium was a good thing to do, but that puts that landlord and owner in jeopardy himself if he can't get his money. So why couldn't they have done what they do for Section 8 people and pay directly these landlords and owners to keep people in their homes and then still give them a stipend to buy food? Why couldn't they have done that? That way, you know, you cut out the middleman. And I'm not saying that people don't know what to do with their money. Not all people are going to trick their money off, but a lot of people have done it. They've tricked the money off. Went and got big screen TVs, got some weed, got some, Henny, went to the strip club, whatever, because they're thinking, oh, for 3 months, 3-4 months, I ain't got to pay no rent. It's like, wow, people like myself cannot get elected because we're not playing the game and we're actually there to represent the people. I would have given that money and said, you know what, let's do what Section 8 does. Let's pay the landlord so that the people can stay in their homes and the landlord is paid. Rather than taking the landlord out of the loop and now he's caught holding the bag because he doesn't have 3 or 4 months rent. And now he's got to go through a process of evicting these people. And what is the Democrats' answer to this? They're going to set up a program so that you people that are getting evicted could get lawyers or go through a legal process. That's the Democrats' answer to all of this. When all of that could have been avoided by doing what we do with Section 8. You pay the landlord, the government pays the landlord, and that way the renter stays in the home and everybody's happy. But no, that's too much like right. That's just too much like right, you guys. But hey, I'm going to be on the War Zone at about 5 o'clock today. Demetra, hopefully she will make it, but I believe Al's flight leaves at about 5 o'clock, so she probably won't make it. She'll be stuck on them freeways. And her daughter made it back from Florida, so they're having a good time. That's really good. Deanna is doing really, really, really well. They haven't had any answers for getting the economy down, and they're saying that we are getting ready to hit a big bump. A big bump. If you guys didn't know, in the news, the greatest GDP loss in history, worse than the Great Depression, happened under the Trump administration. Let me tell you guys something too. The fallacy of Trump built this great economy is total bullshit. When an economy can collapse within weeks, part-time jobs, how many times? No. You guys are all idiots if you believe that. He built that. Notice that he built it and now he's like, ain't saying nothing about it. Well, the black and the Hispanic employment has never been higher. Part-time bullshit jobs? Really? Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And now this idiot wants to delay the election. No. Get ready for a bunch of Republicans to start jumping ship, because now it's about their survival. It's about re-election, and that's all it's been about, them and the power. You guys, there is no difference between a Democrat and a Republican. They get money from the same people. I've been telling all of my Republican friends, Donald Trump is a Democrat. He's been a lifelong Democrat. His dad's a racist. His mom's a racist. They come from the Democratic Party. Most of your Klan members were Democrats. Until some of them, like Strom Thurmond, for political reasons, went to the Republican Party. But Donald Trump's a Democrat. Oh my God. And that's why it bothers me so much that my friends that were conservative fell under the spell of this P.T. Barnum type guy that has no record of success in anything he does. He is not a Republican. He doesn't stand for Republican values. Man, this guy, hey, I'm going to tell you guys, vote, but make sure you get something for that vote. Damn it. That's all I want you to do. Is that too much to ask, you guys? Hey, you guys, don't forget to check out Free Flow Fridays every Friday at 1 o'clock right here on this platform. Unapologetic, the podcast right here, starring me, Donovan Sadiq, and of course, the Demetra K Show on Sundays, 3 p.m. Facebook Live. Hey, you may not drive. It's like that sometimes. Gangsta white ball. Hey, you guys, it's been great. I want you guys to think about it. Icon. What does it really mean? John Lewis is an icon? Okay, if you say so.